Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the next portion of my remarks be placed separately into the record.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have known for years that big tech has sold out children's safety online for the purpose of making a buck. Their algorithms connect children with drug dealers, pedophiles, and flood their feeds with pro-suicide content. Their AI chatbots sexualize children in role-playing fantasies. Their design features allow children to share their precise real-time location on a map with anyone, including predators eager to track them down. Their entire profit model depends on addicting children to their product, no matter the consequences. They are for doom scrolling by our kids, and every day we're learning more about this appalling abuse and addiction of screens. A recent brief filed by more than 1,800 plaintiffs, 1,800 plaintiffs, including parents and children, shows how Meta knowingly exposed children to unthinkable harms. According to the brief, Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, conducted internal studies showing that social media addiction among minors fuels anxiety, depression, eating disorders, and suicidal thought. We all know that these numbers have soared over the past decade. Anxiety, depression, eating disorders, suicide, coming from our kids. The numbers are soaring. So, Meta does some research, but here is the kicker that should disgust every single American. When these findings came out and the results were known, Meta buried the research and misled Congress about the results. As a matter of policy, Meta allegedly refused to remove individuals who engaged in sex trafficking on its platforms until users reported the offender at least 17 times. This is unbelievable. They should never let them on in the first place. But Mr. President, Meta, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, they know that somebody is sex trafficking kids and women, and they still let them on their site. And after they're reported once, they get a hand slap. 5, 10, 15, 16 times, they get a hand slap. They get a notice, but they can stay in business. And on the 17th time, they decide, well, that's too much. So they shut them down. And you know what? A lot of those people go in and they set up another account with another name, and they continue this sex trafficking mill. It is disgusting and deplorable and revolting and every other negative adjective you can apply to this. How dare they do this? And how dare Meta let these human traffickers, sex traffickers, drug traffickers use their site to carry out illegal businesses? Now, even when Meta detected child sexual abuse material, that's called CSAM, with 100% confidence, Meta often failed to remove the content. So they knew People were exploiting children. It is illegal. They knew they were being exploited. Children were being exploited. But you know what? They didn't remove it. They let it go. An internal audit even showed that the company knowingly connected minors with potential pedophiles and predators and groomers through its algorithmic follow recommendations. On a single day in 2022, it made such recommendations 1.4 million times. That's an accurate number. You've got a website, you've got a social media platform, and they know they're connecting kids to people that are going to harm and exploit them. And in one single day, they do it 1.4 million times. Total disregard for the children, total disregard for their welfare, total disregard for their being. They allow the exploitation to take place. Now, there are a couple of things that we have learned about these big tech companies. First of all, they cannot be trusted to make their platforms safe by design because meaningful safety measures would cut into their bottom line. These are selfish, greedy people. People with a motto, move fast, break things. You know what they're doing, Mr. President? They are breaking the lives of children and families. Now, this is why Congress must step up and ensure that these companies finally face accountability for the harm they have inflicted on an entire generation of our precious children. Earlier this year, Senator Blumenthal and I reintroduced the bipartisan Kids Online Safety Act. It would ensure children are afforded the same protections from harm in the virtual space that laws we have passed that protect them in the physical world. The Senate's version of COSA would establish a clear duty of care for online platforms to prevent their algorithms from pushing dangers on minors, including sexual abuse, illicit drugs, the promotion of suicide, and eating disorders. That duty of care is critical. Requiring big tech companies to take responsibility for making their own products safer is essential to protecting kids and giving parents peace of mind, and giving parents and kids a toolbox so that they are able to de-link from this algorithmic black box. You know what, Mr. President? It is amazing to me, physical world, if you sell alcohol or tobacco to a kid or expose them to pornography, take them to a strip club, the sheriff's going to come over and they are going to lock your doors and they're going to take you to jail. We've got laws on the books. It's illegal to endanger a child. It's illegal to endanger a child's welfare and well-being. But in the virtual space, these reckless people at these AI companies and social media companies and developing these chatbots that sexualize and carry on sensual conversations with children. These social media platforms that connect kids to alcohol, tobacco, drugs, predators. They go every day about their business, endangering children and using our children as a product every single time they are online. Now, the need to do something about this is why we have now 70 co-sponsors on the Kids Online Safety Act here in the Senate. And last week, our colleagues in the House released a discussion draft of a new version of COSA that would strip out the duty of care. I will tell you, when I looked at that, I thought it looks like they gave it to Meta to mark it up, the way they redlined that. Stripping out the duty of care so they could still take care of friends over at the big tech companies. With the Senate version of Kids Online Safety Act, social media platforms would be required to exercise reasonable care in the creation and implementation of any design feature to prevent and mitigate harms to minors where a reasonable and prudent person would agree that such harms were reasonably foreseeable. With the House version, platforms would only be required to establish, implement, maintain, and enforce reasonable policies, practices, and procedures that address such harms, without the duty of care to prevent foreseeable harms. This new requirement is completely unenforceable. Now, Mr. President, let me give you an idea of what this would equate to and what it would compare to in the physical space. Let's just say that our counties and cities and states and the federal government decided that anybody ought to be able to go buy alcohol, tobacco, or drugs anytime they wanted to. Just whatever you want to do, go do it. And kids as young as 7 or 8 years old would go and buy alcohol or drugs or go experience pornographic shows. You can't even take a kid into an X-rated, R-rated movie. But just let's say all those laws were strict. That is what is happening in the virtual space because we do not have those protections in place. And it is so deeply disappointing to me that we have some in the House that say, let's not worry about it. Let's not put any restrictions. You know what? That ought to be left up to parents and teachers and preachers to police this. So, what if in the physical world you took away all of those laws? What if you said we're not going to protect children? What if you said we're not going to, as a society, put any constraints at all on minor children? There is a reason children are referred to as minors. There is a reason they don't get a driver's license till they're age 16. They can't vote until they're 18. There are reasons we have laws to protect those that are vulnerable, to take care of our children. And as you look at what came through the House version, it weakens the standard to prove that big tech companies have knowledgeable harms on their platforms. Mr. President, we know there are harms. We know they've done the research. We know this exists. And we know that their executives want to bury their head in the sand and to play dumb. They think the American people are dumb. They think they're the gods of Silicon Valley. But you know what? People have figured this out, and they love their kids. And they want the federal government to do something about this, to establish standards, to exercise federal preemption, to pass Kids Online Safety, to make certain that children are going to be protected. And parents want to know the federal government has their back.